Good morning, guys. Don't be unequally yoked. You see, one problem I see with many Christians in today in society is many of them are unequally yoked with unbelievers. Many of them are dating unbelievers. Many of them are married to unbelievers. Many of them are seeking relationships with unbelievers and even have deep friendship with unbelievers. And I just want to talk about this real quick because the Bible makes it clear: do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. How can there be fellowship with light and darkness? You're a follower of Christ. You're in God's presence. You're seeking God. You're in the light. And yet you're dwelling with people. You have people in your life, people in your inner circle who are of darkness. And we're just gonna make this very clear, guys. As followers of Christ, we are to minister to people. We are to help bring souls into the kingdom of heaven. If an unbeliever wants God and they're seeking God, then ain't nothing wrong with having a deep relationship and trying to help. And there ain't nothing wrong with gaining a deep relationship with them through friendship and trying to help them get God. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But the issue is when followers of Christ want to be friends with people who clearly do not want God. You see, guys, one thing that many people have to realize that there's people who have already rejected God. There's people who have rejected God and they want nothing to do with Him. There's people who enjoy living for this world. They enjoy living for a kingdom of darkness. They enjoy engaging in sin. So how can you be a follower of Christ? You love God. You're seeking His kingdom. You're seeking His face. But yet you're unequally yoked with unbelievers. You're yoked with people who don't even believe in God. You're yoked with people who don't even follow the commandments of God. You're yoked with people who are lukewarm Christians, to where they believe in God to a certain extent, but they don't fully follow His book. They believe in Him to a certain extent, but they don't keep His commandments. They believe in Him to a certain extent, but they don't try to live a righteous or holy lifestyle in front of God. They have no problem engaging in sin. How can you be unequally yoked with believers and expect to get the real treasure of God in your life? How can you expect the gates of heaven to move in your life when you got inner unbelievers who don't want God in your inner circle? You guys are trying to date them. You guys are trying to be deep friends with them. You guys are hanging out with them every day. And yet you expect God to move on your behalf? You see, one thing we gotta do is we gotta examine the story of Jesus. We gotta examine the book, the life of Jesus Christ. You see, Jesus Christ is a very smart man. He picked the 12 disciples because the 12 disciples, one of the main reasons he picked the 12 disciples is because the 12 disciples, he knew, because Jesus was the Son of God, He was God in flesh, He knew that they were fully down for the kingdom of heaven. He knew that they would be willing to seek after God the Father's will. They'd be willing to seek after the King of Heaven's will. He knew that they'll be willing to go all out for King of Heaven. That they would give up everything for King of Heaven. You see, there was many people in the Bible, such as the rich man who came to Jesus, the rich boy who came to Jesus and told him that he wanted to follow Jesus. And Jesus told him to sell everything and that all his treasure would be in heaven. He couldn't do that. You see, there's many people who came to Jesus. But you see, after many people that came to Jesus, the 12 disciples was his inner circle. You know why? Because he knew that the 12 disciples were willing to go all out for a king of heaven. You see, many people, they came to Jesus for healing and miracles and deliverance. But many of them did not really care about the king of heaven like that. Many of them, they were just proclaiming Jesus' name, but how many of those people were willing to go all out for King of Heaven? Were willing to give up their lives like majority of the disciples for a King of Heaven? You see, there's many people like that today. You willing to go all out for God. You have no problem going all out for God. You have no problem waiting on God and doing God's will. But yet, you tied to people you have people in your inner circle who don't even care about God. They live in life in their terms. And yet you're yoked with them. What sense does that make? How can those people strengthen your life? You need people who can strengthen you in your walk with God, who can help take you to the next level. There's an old saying, iron sharpen iron. How can iron sharpen iron when you're not around people who can help you go higher in God, who can help push you to the next level? You're around people who probably don't even know what even fasting and praying is. You're around people who probably don't even know how to even pray for even 1 minute. And of course, how long you pray is not that significant compared to you praying from your heart. But you know what I'm saying. You're around people who don't even really care about God like that. And yet you expect to excel in the kingdom of heaven. You expect to excel in God. It ain't going to work. And, it's one thing. I'm going to speak about the marriage part. It's one thing if you were married to your spouse and you guys were both unbelievers. And then you came into God. And now you're praying for your spouse to come into God. That's a different situation. But my main thing is Christians who are followers of Christ, and yet they trying to marry people who are unbelievers. What sense does that make? You already have God, but you try to marry a person who do not have God. People, you see, many people, they have this mentality, even a lot of Christians, to where they believe they can marry somebody and change them. You cannot change a person. You cannot wake up somebody who's spiritually dead and who wants to remain spiritually dead. You see, you try to marry someone thinking, okay, I'm gonna marry this person, I'm gonna bring them to God, they'll change. Listen, the only person who can fully change somebody is God Himself, and that person willing to change from their heart. You see, you can direct someone to Christ. You could bring a horse to the water, but you can't force the horse to drink. You could help bring someone to Christ. You can give someone the path. You can show someone about Jesus Christ, but yet they will still end up rejecting Him. Many people still won't listen to you. You see, once you plant that seed, once you tell someone about God, once you tell someone about Jesus Christ, it is that seed is planted in them. It's now into that person if they want to grow that seed or if they want to remain spiritually dead. It's not on that person if they want to pursue God or if they want to keep living life in their terms of living for a world and living for a kingdom of darkness. Once you tell someone about God, you have already done your job. If that person needs help getting God, that person needs help understanding the Bible, and they need help like in their walk with God, ain't nothing wrong with helping them. Ain't nothing wrong with being friends with them and helping to take them to the next level. Because in this walk with God, we all need people. Because even Jesus had friends. He had the 12 disciples. He had Mary Magdalene. So we all need friends in our walk with God. But nevertheless, if you tell someone about God and they're not willing to listen, if they're not willing to go to the next level, if they're comfortable living in sin, if they're comfortable just living for this world, and just like the Bible says, you gotta wipe off the dust of your feet. Whoever receives the truth, beautiful. If a person does not want to receive the truth, then we gotta move on. We cannot keep wasting our time on people who do not want God. We cannot keep wasting our time on people who are not willing to go to the next level. Because you see, guys, there's many people in this world who are willing, who would love to know about a man, Jesus Christ, who can help solve their problems. They would love to know about a man named Jesus Christ, who can help deliver them, who can help take them to the next level, who can transform their lives. There's many people around the world who are waiting to hear the gospel, who are dying to hear the gospel. And yet, there's Christians wasting their time on people who've already rejected God. There's people to where they heard the gospel 100 times. You're over here thinking you're the first person to minister to somebody. And yet that person probably had 1,000 Christians come to him, 1,000 pastors come to him, give them flyers, telling them about God. They probably driven on the street, driven their car and seen posters about Jesus Christ on a billboard, seen people with Jesus stickers in their car, and yet they still reject him. So what do you think? Like, come on, that person already rejected God 1,000 times. They already have rejected God 1,000,000 times. One thing we cannot do, we cannot surround ourselves with people who are just gonna help, who are not gonna help strengthen us and walk with God. Because now you're gonna be probably stuck at that level. You're gonna be stuck at level 1. It's gonna be hard for you to move on to the next level when you're surrounded by darkness. How can you expect to grow higher in God when you're surrounded by darkness? You hanging around family members often who do not want God. You hang around friends often who do not want God. You try to date people who do not want God. How you expect to fully prosper in this walk with God when you're surrounded by nothing but darkness? You see, guys, as followers of Christ, we're not better than nobody, but we gotta know that who we have in our circle matters. Who you have in your circle matters. Even in James 4:4 states, if you're friends with the world, you're enemies with God. Who you have in your circle matters. You can't just be friends with anybody. Because not only can the wrong people try to lead you to a wrong path, because the Bible makes it clear that bad company corrupts good character. Bad company corrupts good morals. Not only can they corrupt you, but then you can start to become stagnant in your walk with God. Because when you're around too many people who are unbelievers, now you can start to fall back. You can start to drop. That's how people fall away from the faith. They start hanging around these unbelieving friends. They start hanging around their unbelieving family too much. They start dating unbelievers. Next thing you know, they don't even believe in God no more. Next thing you know, they even stop praying no more. They used to pray in the morning and at night. Now they stop praying altogether. They used to read their Bible every day. Now they fully stop reading their Bible. They start to become stagnant. Instead of reading their Bible every day, they start to become reading their Bible once a week. Next, once a month. Next, now they fully don't even believe in God no more. That's why it's very important who you have in your circle. But nevertheless, guys, always wait on God. God will bless you. And when you're in your kingdom, God will take care of his children. You see, God, he will bless you with the right friends. He'll bless you with godly friends. He'll bless you with a godly partner. All you gotta do is wait on God. He'll bless you with godly, divine destiny helpers who are gonna help take you to the next level. All you have to do is just wait on God. You see, wait on God is something that many people can't do. You see, many people, they talk that big talk about how they love God, but very few can wait on God. Examine this world. You got people talk about they love God and all that, but how many of them are truly waiting on him? Look how many people they go and live life in their own terms. You got Christians now marrying people who are not even Christians. You got people who believe in Jesus Christ marrying people who don't even believe in Jesus Christ. I remember I heard some girl talk about some girl one of my jobs talk about she's a Muslim and her husband's a Christian. How is that man gonna be? How is that man a Christian and yet he married to an unbeliever? Like, come on now, like. The people you just gotta wait on God, man, because at the end of the day, you guys are gonna eventually clash. When you're with unbelievers, when you're deep friends with unbelievers, when you're married to unbelievers, you guys are gonna eventually clash because you're gonna want to probably go fast and pray, while that person probably wants to turn on the TV and watch sports all day. You probably just want the house to be quiet for a weekend or a week or so to get closer to God, while that person probably wants to bring their friends over for the NFL game, for the NBA game, for the MLB game, while you want your household to be quiet so you can hear God, so you can draw closer to God. You probably want to just stay home and just chill and try to avoid going out and all that, while your partner wants to go out with you to the clubs, while your friends want to go out to you to the clubs and the bars. You see what I'm saying? Your whole walk with God is going to start to become, it's going to start to become like compromise, because now if you don't do it, they're gonna start to become mad at you, and now next you guys are gonna be clashing, having arguments. They're gonna probably start accusing you of being better than them. You're gonna have nothing but problems. That's why to help not compromise your walk with God, to help not having to deal with all these issues and all these constant arguments with your friends and family members and partner, do not be unequally yoked with people who do not want God. You see, I understand that if we go to a place like our work, or we go to like a business meeting or so, we might have unbelievers or a job or a business meeting or a school, and we might have to work with them. I understand that. You have to work with people. If it's a job or a school or a business, I understand. Because you're going to work with people. You can't force people on your job or so to follow Jesus Christ. So I understand that. But I'm talking about outside of work, outside of school, outside of your business. So just be smart. Be smart in your walk with God. Waiting on God is worth it. Do not compromise your walk with God, because if you compromise your walk with God, now you're putting your own eternity at stake. You're putting your own eternal soul at stake. Because come on, you really think God gonna let you into heaven when you gave up on Him? You really think God gonna let you into heaven when you stop fully following Him? You start following the world. When you start following your friends. When you start mixing with too much darkness. Like, come on, guys, we gotta be smart. Old cloth does not mix with new cloth. Light does not mix with darkness. That's one thing I see too many Christians do. I even heard Christians talk about they gonna try and date unbelievers because other Christians date too much. Like, you're just gonna subject yourself to a world of pain, and you're just gonna become lukewarm. And Jesus already said out of His own mouth in the book of Revelation that either you be hot or cold, not lukewarm. Because if you're lukewarm, I'll spit you out. One of the most dangerous things you could do is be a lukewarm Christian. It should be a lukewarm follower of Christ. You know why? Because you'll be over here thinking that you're on the right path, not even know that you head into destruction, not even know that you head into damnation, not even know that God not even pleased with how you're living your life. We just gotta be smart in this walk with God, guys, because see, Jesus Christ is ready to return soon, and we gotta remain faithful to Him and remain strong, because you have a lot of temptations, you have a lot of evil principalities and powers, you have a lot of people out there, you have a lot of people in Satan's kingdom who are trying to draw people outside the body of Christ. You see, the enemy, he's always looking for open doors. He just waiting for that moment for you to give up on God. He just waiting. You see, the enemy, he loves to destroy people. He loves to target followers of Christ. But you know why he can't fully go after us like that? Because we're under God's protection. But you see, he just waiting for you to start to give up on God. He just waiting for you to become lukewarm. He just waiting because he knows when that happens, now you create open doors in your life. Now demons could come in and attack and destroy your life. Now he can start to look to kill, steal, and destroy. You see, just remain in God, remain in God's presence. As long as you remain in God's presence, you'll always be fully secure. As long as you remain in God's presence, you keep seeking after God and seek after His will, you always be straight. You always be on that narrow path. You always be in good terms with God. You always be of the faith. You always win and succeed in life. Your eternity in heaven will always be, you always have your name in that book of life. If you fully surrender to God and you're seeking His will, you will always be in the right path. You always succeed. But you see, when you become lukewarm and you start hanging with the world too much, and you start hanging with these unbelieving friends and start dating these unbelievers and start living life in your own terms, now you just walk outside of the presence of God. Now you just walked into the enemy's kingdom. Now you don't even have God's full protection on you no more. Unless God tells the enemy, if he tries to attack you, to do not touch them. But nevertheless, you walk outside the full protection of God. Now you bound for anything to happen to you. That's how people can start to be Christians one day. They lose the faith. They give up on God. The next moment, next thing you know, they die instantly because they walk outside God's protection. And when we leave God's protection, the enemy, he loves that. Because let me tell you something. There's a scripture in the Bible. It makes it clear that it's better for a person to never know God than for him to know God and to turn back. You see? Well, if you go to hell as a Christian, if you go to hell as a former Christian, your punishment is worse than people who are unbelievers. The demons, I've heard testimonies of people who've been to hell and back, and they said that they saw demons tormented people who who were Christians on earth, and they died and went to hell. They saw demons torment those people worse than unbelievers. You know why? Because the demons hate the fact that you used to believe in Jesus Christ. The demons hate the fact that at one point in your life you gave your life to God. They hate the fact that at one point in your life you were serious about God. But you see, those Christians went to hell. You know why? Because they were lukewarm. Many of them were living on a double lifestyle. Many of them, they proclaimed God with their lips, but yet they were still engaging in sin. Many of them, they proclaimed God with their lips, but they were still living life on their own terms. They were seeking after their own will instead of God's will. So what do you think was going to happen to them? Of course, they're going to go to hell. You will expect God to let you into heaven when you seek after your own ways instead of God's ways. You seek after your own will instead of God's will. Like, come on, guys. It's like certain things are just common sense. But nevertheless, guys, do not engage. I understand, like I said, I understand if you gotta go work in school and you gotta deal with unbelievers and all that, you gotta work with them. I understand that. But nevertheless, you're outside of work, outside of school, in your personal life, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers who do not want God. Because they'll try to lead you down their path to destruction, and they'll try to force their sinful ways upon you. You think I've had people try to test me before? I've had people try to test me before. Listen, when I was in high school, I was on a sports team. I was on a wrestling team. You think I didn't have a few guys make fun of me for being a virgin? You think I didn't have a few guys make fun of me for not smoking and all that? You think I've not had people try to test me? You think I haven't had women try to test me through fornication, try to get me to fornicate with them, try to make suggestive comments to me? You think I've not had that? I had that. But you see, I kept the faith. That's why I've not fallen into temptation. I had not fallen into the enemy's schemes. I had not fallen into a trap that he was trying. That's why me personally, people can say what they want, but me, I only want to surround myself with people who are on fire for God. I only want to surround myself with people who are looking to go higher in God, who are looking to seek after God's will for their lives. I do not want to be around people, and I don't want people in my personal life. I do not want to be married to a person who does not want God. I don't want to be close friends with a person who does not want God. It's one thing if an unbeliever comes to me and they say that they need help trying to seek God and they want to learn more about Jesus Christ, then yes, I can help them. I can help that person know about Jesus Christ. I can help them start their life to God. I can help them learn more about the kingdom of heaven. That's one thing if they want to come in, if they're curious. But for a person already made up in their mind and they say, I'm not interested in God, don't tell me nothing about God, I don't want to hear it, then guess what? That's the person I'm just going to stay away from. Cause I know if I hang around that person too much, they could try to corrupt me and try to lead me into sin. They can try and say, Brandon, man, you reading that Bible too much, man. You going to church too much, man. Man, please, come to a club with me, man. Come have some fun with me. Brandon, you sitting on top of you waiting on God for a wife? Man, please, I know some pretty women who hook up with you right now, who'll give you what you want, who'll give you a good time, who'll sleep with you in one night. You see, that to avoid all that situations, to avoid the enemy trying to use those people, because me, number one, I'll never fall for his traps, because me, I'm not falling into temptation, but I don't want to have to deal with no constant arguments, and no constant back and forth, and people talk about, oh, you think you better than me because you're a Christian. I don't have time for all of that. Me, I only want to surround myself with people on fire for God and people who are looking to surrender themselves to God. People who already rejected God, people who don't want God, I just keep my distance, I just keep it pushing.